Mate, you're lagging. What are you doing?
Good enough can cost you the game, so stop settling. Wifinity is built for real-life on base, so you can game without compromise. Posted somewhere new? Take your Wi-Fi with you, no hassle. Get fast, reliable Wi-Fi with Wifinity. Use code BFBS50 to get 50% off the first 3 months.
Hello and welcome in everybody to the last week of the BFBS Pro League featuring F125. And you know what, for the last week we had to bring back two absolute legends, Poundlander, Jack. It is a pleasure to have you back. First of all, Poundlander, how are you doing?
I am very hot, but I'm very excited, but very sad because it's the last one. I've enjoyed this the past 8 weeks. I don't know what I'm going to do with myself now.
Neither. What about you, Jack? How are you feeling? What are you going to be doing after all of this?
I'm going to not stop working. I've got a busy few weeks ahead of me, to say the least. I think I've only got about 2 weeks off in the next about 8 before I'm due to say goodbye to the UK for a little bit. But no, I say it's really good to be here for the last race. It's been a fantastic season. It's been an exciting season. Lots happening, and it's the last race. It's a shame that it's ending, but it's just great to be back.
It's a pleasure to have you both back. Now, talking of back, we're going to look back at last week's Suzuka. Now, first and foremost, the Phoenix win. I mean, we all kind of saw it coming, but I mean, he has been an absolute unit. When we started this, did we expect maybe the level of domination that we saw from Phoenix, Jack?
I would probably say so, yes. Obviously, we didn't expect the likes of some of the drivers, like Edward Fleming was definitely one of them. Adam Thompson, I think, was another one. Again, incredibly talented drivers, and they've definitely got the pace there, like we saw in Suzuka last week when Edward managed to get a good start and go around the outside into turn one and kept that lead for quite a while. But say, like I said earlier on in the season, having raced against Phoenix before in a couple of tournaments, you would expect to see that level of domination there, and rightfully so. Absolutely showed it. Just he only missed one race, I believe, unless he's racing tonight, and only came second once, and that was due to a fault of his own, speeding in the pit lane in Singapore, which gave him that 10-second, but nearly still took that win, only by 500ths of a second. So I would say it's definitely expected, and definitely a big congrats to him for taking the championship last week.
Absolutely crazy stuff. Now, Poundlander, something that we got to mention, you got to see this last week. A little bit of chaos going on the track, wasn't there? Do you want to talk us through maybe one of the... We've talked about highlights and lowlights. Do you want to talk us through this clip? Because this was specifically requested to talk about.
Yeah, absolutely. So obviously what we're seeing here is FaZe and Adam Thompson, the contact between FaZe and Adam here. It caused Adam to crash out the race, and FaZe ultimately getting a black flag. Obviously, we want to see wheel-to-wheel racing here in the league, but for FaZe, essentially, he was just trying a little bit too hard. I think he was really just trying to keep that position, but we just saw that excess weaving. The excess weaving really does throw the car behind, off a bit, trying to get past, and ultimately it did cause a collision, because you see Adam was very, very close to the rear of FaZe there and clipped him and ended up in the wall. FaZe got a black flag, which we should mention he's apologised profusely for over the past week. He's not racing tonight because he has got a race ban due to this incident. However, it's a learning curve. For myself, I've had incidents like this where when I was first league racing, I've taken people out by accident, and that was when I was first racing, I think, in
accident.
One of my older leads. Yeah, it was an accident. We all learn the game, don't we? It's always an accident, in my opinion. So, hopefully it's just a learning curve, learning how to defend a little bit more sportsmanlike in the future. And, who knows, maybe when we come back for season 2, the F1 Pro League, he'll be there racing with us.
We can keep our fingers crossed. Now, one more person we want to touch on before we, look to the future here. Edward Fleming. Now, Jack, you briefly mentioned his name. He's been one of these sort of dark horse racers, I'd argue. And I'm not 100% sure if we're seeing him today, but you wanted to mention him because he had a particularly, strong start.
Yeah, I mean, you look back to Silverstone, which I think it was his first race, the very first race of the season, and right off the bat, taking that challenge to, I think it might have been Proven, who was leading that the Grand Prix, and it was a close battle between them the whole way, and we're just like, where on earth has this pace come from? Who is this guy? And it was just unfortunate that they decided to do a different strategy and try and stay out with the tires, which then gave them that puncture, which then in turn lost that battle because that the gap was closing. And then you see throughout the rest of the season, he's been up there. He's been consistently quick. I think, he had a bit of a nightmare in Austria, and again, another puncture, a little bit of a spin by hitting one of the curves, going down into, I think it's turn 4, and then taking that win in Singapore off pure pace alone. Granted the penalty, but he still managed to hold it to where it was. And then you look back at last week in Singapore, where he got that excellent start and got very bold on the brakes into turn 1 against Phoenix, who is notorious at defending when it comes to it and is notorious at the good starts. But then just to take it around the outside, and he was leading the Grand Prix, for maybe up until like the first round of pit stops, where unfortunately he tried to do the undercut, but Phoenix managed to do the overcut because of the pace that he had left in them tires. So a dark horse, yes, wasn't expected at the start of the season, but now look at where he is, and you can see post, I'll say, his little mishap in Austria, should we say, the race to forget. It's just been consistent and quick and up there, looking at the podium spots. So definitely one to look forward to next season at least.
What about you, Poundlander? You've watched Edward Fleming, go through this whole championship. Where do you think maybe has he improved throughout the season visibly? Is this something, somebody we've seen build and build and build into this, or is there someone that you think has been pretty consistently strong the whole time?
I mean, Edward Fleming has been strong the whole season. We've seen it again. Edward Fleming's just been able to be there in the background, ready to kind of take some sort of control of the race if needed, and he has proved that. I think he's just had a couple of really fast drivers up ahead of him, which they sit on the game a lot. They practice. They're probably already practicing on the 2026 cars, ready to get into a league with that. So I think with Edward Fleming, it's very much a case of if those guys can't get to grips with the 2026 cars and how they handle and the battery as well. We've got to remember the battery regen situation for the 26 cars is a lot different to the cars we have now. If Edward Fleming gets it right off the bat, who knows? We could actually see Edward Fleming really, really take it. So I think, if anything, he's improved over the season. Next season could be his.
Sky is the limit. Now, we look ahead to Monza. I'm going to ask you a question, because some of the people that watch this, some of the people that watch Pro League, maybe not as familiar with F1 as a concept. If you had to describe Monza as a track to somebody who had never seen it, not seen the outline, never watched a race on it, Poundlander, how are you describing this track?
Chaos. Absolute chaos. Because at the end of the day, with this track, it's very much a case you're on throttle for about 95, I think, percent of the track, percent of the lap. So you're really pushing it around, and the only thing slowing you down is a couple of chicanes. And it's there where you're going to see overtakes, but at the same time, you're going to see incidents. You're going to see wheel-to-wheel contact. You could even see people in the gravel, as we've seen before at Monza. But it's also passionate. You have got the Tifosi, the Ferrari fans. It's their homeland. They absolutely love it. And they go wild, especially if it's a red car taking the win.
Jack, anything to add on that one?
No, George is right. Nailed it on the head. But I would say if anyone's never seen the track layout, it looks like a boot. If anyone has not quite cottoned onto that one yet. But no, it is a legendary track. It's been on the calendar. It's one of the 4 inaugural races that began in 1950, back when the Formula 1 season officially began. I think it was alongside Silverstone, and there's 2 more, which is in my list, but I'll find that later. Turn 1 is always chaos. We've seen it in Formula 1. We've seen it in World European Championships. We've even seen it back in 2021 when a little bit of a mishap between Lewis and Max coming out of the pits, but we don't talk about 2021. It's absolute chaos, and there are plenty of places that we can see late moves for overtakes around Curve Grande, which is turn 3, and it's definitely a track to watch when you're driving around at about 217 miles an hour. It's called the Temple of Speed for a reason.
Now, you've mentioned what this track looks like if you were to look at it. Have both of you seen the Disney Channel drawing of the logo? If I was to ask you to do a rendition of that, but for the outline of Monza, Disney Channel style, can you draw me Monza?
Shadow wants to do that now. I think
I should have told you to get a 1 beforehand.
I've got a pen. That's as close as I can do.
I've got a pen and pliers.
Are you ready? Are you ready? That'll do. Are you ready, guys? Off you
I've
go.
got to try and remember it now.
Right. We've really got a small box to work
that
it.
way,
So
that way, then that way.
That, round, up, chicane, Lesmo down, Ascari, down the straight, round Parabolica, back across the line.
And you're watching BFBS Pro League. But thank you both so much. That's what it looks like. Absolutely stunning stuff for the both of you. Now, Jack.
It's a boot.
Question of the hour. It is a boot. It does look like a boot, actually, now that you've mentioned it. But Jack, we got to take a look at the format of today. Now, it's been 8 weeks. If you only just tuned in, first of all, welcome, but where have you been? Jack, do you want to talk us through how the points work? Because whilst first place is off limits, is strictly reserved for Phoenix, the other podium positions still available, and with only 9 drivers today, that means there are points guaranteed. Do you want to talk us through how those points are going to be distributed?
Absolutely. And I'm hearing in the chat as well that Phoenix may actually not be racing today, so first place could be reserved to someone else. But other than that, standard qualifying and race format. So you'll have 18 minutes of qualifying, which is a short session. This allows the drivers to do as many runs as they want to set the fastest lap of that qualifying session, giving them the fastest time being starting at the front of the grid. But they can do as many runs as they want or until they run out of tyres. So we could see at least 3 runs here around Monza. We've only got a few drivers tonight, so we're not going to be running simultaneous grids. Before moving on into the race, it will be a 50% length race, so half full race distance of the actual Formula One, where it is mandatory that each car uses 2 different compounds of tyres, whether that be starting on the mediums and then pit stop to the hards, or hard to mediums, etc. However, this rule is nullified if the track has been declared wet at the start of the Grand Prix. It could be wet in qualifying, but dry in the race, and the rule still applies. On to the points then. So for qualifying, it is 3 points for the person who qualifies in P1, with 2 points for P2 and 1 point for P3. So top 3 get points in qualifying. When we move on to the race with only 9 drivers on the grid, we'll see everyone, so long as they complete 75% of the race distance, receive a point, with the winner taking 25 points, second 18, third place is 15, and a bonus point for the fastest lap. And with it being race week number 8, the final race, the drop 1 rule does apply for this one, where the lowest scoring point or lowest scoring race for an individual driver, that points will be removed. So plenty to play for on the final race of the season.
Absolutely beautifully said there. I don't think I could have put it better myself. And yeah, you're right. We're going to see some people that maybe haven't had points before now coming in, racking some up just at the last second here as well. But that second, third place is very much open for grabs. In the first place, of course, Phoenix not going to be here. That's the one we're really looking for. We're getting a chance to see somebody cross the line first as well, because we talked about it. Phoenix pretty much every week has been the first to finish. Hasn't necessarily won, but has been the first to finish. This time, we're going to get to see somebody else. Now, I ask you this every week, and you know it's coming. Panland, you're up first. How many safety cars are we going to see?
1. I'm going to try and
1,
retain my championship. I'm taking 1.
Okay, Jack, what are you thinking?
Well, that's not fair, because I wasn't here last week, and the one time we get a safety car, the one time we call it, I'm not here. Well, 50% chance probability of safety car, 9 drivers. I'm probably going to go with George on this one. I'm going to say 1. Either collision in turn 1 or someone's going to lose it going out of Ascari.
Absolutely
That's a
love it.
commonplace.
Yeah, I'm gonna say 3 because I'm hoping for chaos. I'm not expecting 3. That would be like a third of people down and out. But
that's half the race.
Because it is the
yeah.
final race of the tournament. But we've just got a little bit of a delay coming into this as well. So we've actually found out Bomber Brown and Noxie aren't playing this week. So the names that we've got Stevie Mac, AOT Rifle, Edward Fleming, CS Pryor, Hog Devil Dog, who is my goat, Proven, and Chewy. Who are we putting as, our top to qualify here?
Ooh, I know. I'm torn between 2. So, George, I'm going to let you go first.
I'm going with Proven. Straight away. Proven has proven himself time and time again to be quick in this league. He won in Australia, I think. Not Australia, first race of the season, Silverstone. So,
yes.
He has been right next to Phoenix. When them two have been racing together, we know that them two are very near on par with each other. So I'm going to say Proven.
I like it.
I do agree with you. I might be able to probably call the top 3.
Okay, go for it. I'm
so,
here for it. I trust you.
I think George would be right because we saw the Silverstone battle between the two of them. Now, yes, we don't know what their skills and abilities are and their speed around Monza, but I think it might be Proven takes the win, Edward Fleming P2 only just, with KS Pryor in 3rd, and I'm going to throw Stevie Mac in 4th.
Ooh, you've got not only for top 3 but top 4. What
I know. I saw Stevie's name at the top, and I'm like, it's got to go in there.
I mean,
think he's in the Twitch chat, so we've got to pick him up.
I think I'm very similar to Jack on top 3 there. I think Proven will win. I'm going to put Edward Fleming 2nd. I feel like Edward Fleming might pull it out the bag to be 2nd. KS Pryor 3rd, with Stevie Mac in 4th.
We were echoing similar sentiments, but just, where we're ranking them. But, I mean, it's sure to be lights out. That's sort of not even up for contention. And I think, we've got just a little bit more time just before we go into qualifying here. I've got to ask you, who has been your most improved driver since race 1, since week 1? If you had to point at one person and go, having watched them progress, they don't even have to have played in all of them. They don't even have to have played in race 1. But who would you say has been your most improved driver?
That's a tough one because I don't know what the list of drivers was. Because I can't remember. Because you have put me on the spot. Yeah, I don't know. It's a tough one because when you look up and down, people have, everyone's improved at some point in the grid. Everyone has had an off race. Everyone's had an off day. 1 minute you can see like Bomber Brown up there in the mid pack, and then the next thing like in Suzuka, he was down near the back battling. Stevie Mac again up there. I think sort of mid at the start, then got up there, and then a little bit of a mishap in Suzuka. So
I'm gonna have to interrupt you though, because it looks like we are ready to go. So our final qualifying Poundlander, Jack, take it away.
Go on, George.
Right, let's do it. Right, here we are. The Autodromo di Nazionale Monza. Here, just outside of Milan, we have got 2 DRS zones. We have 11 corners, and we are on throttle for what I said was about 95% of the lap. It is the temple of speed. It is the home to the Tifosi. 5.7 kilometers or 3.5 miles. And Jack, absolutely, this race, as much as we don't have even 10 drivers, it's still going to be a spectacle.
It absolutely is. Monza is a track. I think I actually got my first win here, believe it or not. Mixed conditions, but pretty much stayed wet towards the end of the Grand Prix. But there we go. Onto the track as now Adam Thompson takes in towards turn 2, the Virianti chicane. all the way down to Curve Grande. Another one of them tracks on the calendar, George. I've got everyone knows it more for the names of the corners than they actually do for the actual corner numbers themselves.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's, you know, Monza's steeped in history, been racing here since the dawn of the championship in 1950. Even before that, they were coming to Monza in the old configuration where you had what was essentially a NASCAR track in the middle.
Dangerous NASCAR track.
Dangerous
It was
NASCAR
a dangerous
track.
NASCAR track.
We look at Adam Thompson coming down the back straight here. You can just see the banking as he goes under it. That's the old track. You can actually still walk around it today. I think if you go to Monza to go and watch, you can actually go and have a walk around that banking. But it's always incredible because the atmosphere at Monza is second to none, probably second to Silverstone, I would say.
I probably agree with you on that one, but then again, I'm British and I love British racing, and in Silverstone is definitely one of them tracks that you cannot beat on the calendar. But there we go. Adam Thompson now crosses the line to start his flying lap. We have Edward Fleming already beginning their flying lap as well, as you saw Adam just invalidate prior to this on the outlap. See him weaving, trying to get some heat into some soft tires, and it looks like maybe holding in second gear into turn 2, trying to get rotation on the rear of the car coming out of the very anti-chicane. But you want to avoid that one because you can overheat the rear tires quite easily. Now into the second very anti-chicane, but it's not called very anti, it's called something else and I can't remember because it's escaped my mind. But into the first Lesmo, keeps it in to the track limits. So watch out for track limits then into Lesmo 1 and Lesmo 2. And also side-by-side racing where we can commonly see and the second half of that corners that someone can dip a wheel into the gravel and end up in the barrier very easily, spinning up the rears. Now going into the Ascari chicane and very high speed section through here, watching out for the exit because there's a curb just on the inside around about turn 10, the kink of turn 10, that can unsettle the car and then that can send you off into the track. Round at Parabolica where we saw Kimi Antonelli lose the car after only his second or third lap testing for Mercedes only a couple of years back. Sets the fastest lap now with a 1:18.7 and the track is still yet to ramp up.
Yeah, Adam, with a really, really good lap there. When we were doing our predictions earlier, I forgot how quick Adam can be. I know Adam was at the back last week, but when he came in at Las Vegas, if you remember, Jack, he was very, very quick and really giving a really good battle. So Adam is probably another one to watch as we look at Hog Devil Dog then into the second Lesmo and heading down the straight. We'll open up DRS here and head down underneath the old track. You know, 49, about to hit the second sector mark. What's it going to be? 52.8, not purple, so not going quickest. However, it's still going really quick. 5th into 6th out of Ascari. Now the run to Parabolica. What can Hulk Devil Dog trying to get there? Proven goes quickest now, an 18.6. So only a 10th, not even a 10th faster than Adam Thompson. As you see Hulk Devil Dog round Parabolica. You want to get a bit tighter to that.
He's invalidated as that.
He's invalidated. He's invalidated, so he's gone wide at probably on the exit of Ascari, I presume, there.
Yeah, Ascari is usually a common place where drivers can get there, pick up a few track limit warnings, just trying to carry as much speed as they can, but is committing to a second push lap by the looks of it, but won't have enough battery to get the perfect lap that I need, although still looking around about 50% now, just dipping below 50%. Overtake enabled going around Curve Grande into the chicane. Watch for the breaking point there, just about the 75 meters. Throw the cars in, misses the apex on the entry, uses all the sausage curb available on the exit in towards the first Lesmo. Dip down into 5th gear, keep the revs up, keep the minimum speed, keep to the left hand side of the track, throwing it in, down another gear, down 2 gears, so that could have compromised a little bit of a drop in speed on the exit. DRS wing pops open, the drag reduction system giving a good 6 to 8 miles an hour more speed around here, because it is the temple of speed, George, and there is plenty of speed to have, especially when that rear wing pops open.
Yeah, absolutely. DRS, I think it adds about 13 miles an hour to your top speed. As we see now, Ogdo's tank, his battery tank is empty. He goes really wide, coming out of Parabolica, tries to go for the apex. The car's just sliding on the exit. So not, you know, that understeer is really going to punish him. A 21-1, only puts him into 6th. He'll want to come in and get a fresh set of boots and try again. Because there's still 11 minutes remaining. So we've still got lots and lots of time before the end of this session and qualifying being over. But I think, you know, again, this track's so steeped in history. It's the home of Ferrari, which, if you didn't know, Jack, they have the most wins here in Monza. 20 Grand Prix wins they've had at Monza.
I don't think that's enough, you know. I
It's
think
not,
there's
is it?
definitely. I think looking at the current season, I think there's definitely a few more up for grabs with that one.
Lewis Hamilton could do it. He's seeming quick this year.
He is. I think he's found his mojo for going around track. But speaking of mojo, Giuseppe Farina, a name that if any F1 fans are definitely keen on, won the first ever drivers' championship here at Monza back in 1950 on the inaugural season of Formula One, and he remains the only driver to have won the drivers' championship on their home soil. So a little bit of a fun fact for everyone going into qualifying, shall we say? So we've got yellow flag though out in sector 3 at the moment. That looks like a slow moving Hog Devil Dog. He will come to pit on this lap, get a fresh set of soft tyres on, I'm sure, for his next run in qualifying. But he's a little bit out of sync now, having run 4 laps, should I say? So ideally, what you want to be doing, George, is you want to do the out lap, your push lap, and a cool, and then you pit in on that cool lap. But he's done an extra lap, which has now lost him about nearly a minute and a half extra running time for that car.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when you make a mistake and you go ahead and invalidate your lap, you always want to try again, especially if you got the fuel, because your tyres are already warm. Yeah, they're not as fresh as your first lap. They still got a little bit of life in him. So I think what he's done there, he's set a banker, so now he's got a time that he needs to beat, so it pushes him to carry on. But we look at KS Pro around Parabolica, which has a different name now. Can't remember what it is off the top of my head. And he's going to come across slightly. Purple sector 3. It's only P3, a 1:19.3. So very quick by Pryor, but still has enough time to get in the pits and get another lap in. But Monza's held every single Italian Grand Prix bar one. So the only one that didn't held the Italian Grand Prix for was in 1980. That went to Imola. So the other Italian track, which unfortunately is not on the calendar anymore. I think that's quite sad, to be honest. But we're here at Monza. It's the home of the Tifosi.
That it is, and it's a shame because the national dish of Imola is actually bolognese, because that's where Bologna is, right next to where Kimi Antonelli is originally from. But yes, 8 minutes 50 left in qualifying. I know it's a fun fact. This is what happens when you cook national dishes on F1 weekends. But yeah, so 8 minutes 40 now on the clock. So far, everyone has now set a lap time with Proven leading the way with a 1:18.6. Adam Thompson only 400ths or 3/900ths of a second behind. Case Bryant in P3, currently just shy of 0.3 of a second behind. And Edward Fleming at 19.4. Then Chewy, Stevie Mack and Hog Devil Dog. But we do have drivers out on flying laps at the moment on board, with Adam Thompson coming down towards Parabolica. You're going to be braking after the 50-meter board. There it is. Throw the car in. Let the understeer catch and pick back up again. Takes the wide line. Now the cut back onto the start-finish straight. Gets the car as tight to the wall as it can. And Adam Thompson takes it by a tenth. And I say that, Proven has just taken it. He got a little bit of a lovely toe. Or a distant toe by the looks of it from Adam Thompson. Takes it though by 600ths of a second, or just under 600ths of a second. So all still to play for. And as the drivers keep laying down the rubber, the track just gets quicker and quicker. So we may see the drivers now come out around about maybe 2 minutes towards the end of qualifying, 2.5 if you want to play it a little bit safe, just to get that track or that lap down, as the track is in its best condition and all that rubber is laid down and it just grips up the cars like there's no tomorrow.
Yeah, absolutely. I think what the drivers can do now they're coming, we're seeing these second push laps come in, they've still got time to come in and get another fresh set of boots on. It's probably a good thing for him with the heat that we've got in the UK at the moment. Pit, fresh tyres, little bit of fuel, and to have a drink. So if you haven't had a drink yet, do recommend it because it is very hot. We have got a yellow flag down in sector 3. I think that is for a slow-moving Adam Thompson. Yes, it is. So that will go green.
Proven's just invalidated going through Ascari.
I think he's on an in lap because he's not going as fast as what he normally is. He's already in the 123, so he's definitely slowed down to come into the pits, and there he comes. So
he was on a push lap.
Oh, was he?
Must have been.
Oh no, I don't think so. He's got a full battery, so I think he definitely.
Maybe.
Definitely was pitting in.
Yeah, quite possible.
Yeah, but we're seeing time start to really come down now. The track is very much starting to grip up and get faster. So anything can happen. You don't want to go away for the next 6 minutes of qualifying.
Exactly. And one thing, even though it is the Templar speed, that does hold the top speed record of a Formula One car around these tracks, where they pretty much, the teams work with a low downforce setup, which is practically 0-0 wings if you're playing in onto the games. But comparing the amount of long straights that they got here, believe it or not, Monza doesn't actually have the longest straight from pole position to turn 1. That record still is held with Barcelona, where it's 595 meters from pole to the breaking point of turn 1, whereas in Monza, considering you've got that massive straight all the way down to turn 1, only 472 meters to the breaking point of turn 1. So that record still goes to Brazil. So Barcelona.
Barcelona.
We'll get
Can you tell it's the end of the season, ladies and gentlemen? We're mixing our tracks up. But
I am also very tired.
Yeah, we are both very, very tired people today. But the energy's still high because it's the last one of the season. That's what we want. But we're looking at Chewy now coming down the back straight, coming up to Parabolica. 8th gear, deploying as much match as possible. We've got to flick it into the Parabolica. He's got a car up ahead. Hopefully that car gets out the way quickly. Looks like it's going to be pitting in. Yes, it is. Yep, and Chewy's going to cross the line now. What's it going to be? It's a 19.3 P4 for Chewy then, as the majority of the field now enters the pit. The only person that's still out on track at the minute is Stevie Mack, the one and only Stevie Mack. A 120.0 at the minute. What can Stevie Mack do? Can he improve? Round the Parabolica. Onto the main straight. We'll open the DRS shortly. What's it going to be? It's only a 19.5. Goes up to P6.
Yeah, it looks like Stevie derated the battery just coming around Parabolica. So maybe deployed a little bit too much on one of the parts of the track. Maybe just before Ascari, you can see that little rain light flashing on the back of the car, which means that either their battery is below 10% that you'll see in race conditions, or they are harvesting the battery during the corner. So looking at the middle sector here, this is where you're going to be able to harvest the most of the battery, and then it's strategically trying to think when and how much to deploy for that lap to either make an overtake happen or stay ahead. So either attack or defend. It is down to the driver's choice as he goes now, picks up the DRS to come into the pit, and Stevie is going to be close, but I don't think he will be able to get back out on track. So I think that's Stevie's final lap done. He is pushing quite a bit to try and get into the pits, but his turnaround time in the pits.
So if he's got, I don't know how much fuel he's got there. If he's got the fuel, he might be able to go again.
I think we'll wait and see.
How much he's pushing? How much he's pushing? It's a potential. No, he's
boxing this lap.
He's not got enough fuel. Not gonna feel.
But so the first of our last runners looks like they have just set off. I think that's Chewy going down the start finish now. I do believe Fleming's out in a hot lap, so this would be Fleming's last run. Hot Devil Dog, his last run is now coming up. Chewy is out on track at the moment, but not sure if he's on a in lap or an out lap, as we've got an off. That's Edward Fleming going down the escape road. He did so well to try and get around that. I'll give him credit for that one. Down the escape road, so locking easy. Up. No, it's not in this. You can do it in the F1 cars, but not in the game. But yeah, just locking up the front, carrying too much speed into turn 1. We have seen it done in the past. We have seen it happen several times, to be honest. And some of the drivers actually may practice going down the escape road just to avoid any form of collision. that we have seen plenty of into turn 1, but he's still up and running on his outlap. So 1 minute 50 on the clock. A yellow flag for slow moving vehicle. He's just letting that gap form in front of him so he gets a little bit more of clean air, or maybe even a distant toe, because you want all the downforce when you get into turn 1. George, take us away on this lap.
Let's go then. Can I just say thank you to the guys in the production for that awesome transition into the full screen replay. Hopefully
that was good.
We see a lot of those today. Into turn 1 then. And that's chicane, very tight at the apex on both the first and second corner. And now on to Curva Grande, or Big Curve, as it's known, round turn 3. Full throttle, deploying some of the batteries. He's only got half the battery left already out of Curva Grande, so he's been deploying that down the straight. Now into turns 4 and 5, keeping tight, getting a good exit on both. Good exit on the exit of turn 3 and 4 there, into the first Lesmo. Keeps it nice, goes wide, almost goes wide, but keeps it within track limits. And then a good exit out of Lesmo 2. Opens DRS down the back straight, or the back straight, I should say, under the old the old track. Oh, the heat fatigue's really kicking in. Ascari then, very tight there, almost running wide with the understeer, but keeps it on track. Doesn't want to go over that line. No, he doesn't. Keeps it within track limits, so he is going fast. Edward Fleming, could he get up here? On the run to Parabolica, full throttle, almost derating the battery. Wants to try and regen a little bit going around Parabolica as he does now. Wow, wants to use all his overtake. Try and get to the line as quickly as possible. He's got no battery left. What's it going to be crossing the line? It's only P3, 118.7, but a brilliant lap there by Edward Fleming for his final lap.
That it was only a 3/10 behind where it needs to be, or 2.5 but the final drivers are on their final laps. Looks like Chewy's now into the pit, so didn't cross the line to complete another lap. So that's Chewy's qualifying done. First car to, well, the next car to take the checkered flag, I believe it looks like Proven is going to be the next one. So can he extend that gap onto Adam Thompson, who is now just come around the second Lesmo on to the DRS, straight down to Ascari, with plenty to play for. But what is the battery level that he's able to do? Coming around now, Parabolica is Proven. We're going to keep an eye on that timing board on that top left-hand side. Is it going to be quicker? It is. He improves by over a 1/10. Adam Thompson now, can he retaliate? Chaos Pryor, though, comes across the line, does also improve into the 118s now. Only just shy behind Edward Fleming. Adam Thompson round Parabolica. You can see that battery, that light flashing at the back. Has he deployed too much? This is going to harm him all the way to the checkered flag. It's not quite enough, but does improve by 8/800ths of a second. Edward Fleming next to go across the line. And no, not Edward Fleming. Let me try again. Stevie Mack crosses mine. Hot Devil Dog. There we go. I'm trying to see the cars on the track. Does not improve, down by 2.5 on their final lap. And now coming across the line, into the pits goes Edward Fleming. So Edward must not have felt that he was improving enough on that lap, so elected to abort from it. But our predictions so far, I think we're only one off. Proven, Adam Thompson, Edward Fleming, Chaos Pryor, Chewy, Stevie Mack, and Hog Devil Dog round up your top 7 for the final qualifying of this season. So we're not too far off, George. We're not too far off. We just need Adam and Edward to swap places, and I think our prediction's about there.
Yeah, exactly. I think we're almost there, but it's still going to be for an NHS Grand Prix. But now it's time for drivers to have a bit of a break, a bit of a hydrate break, get ready for the Grand Prix, and it should be a very, very interesting race for these 7 drivers. But in just a moment, we're going to hand back to Affinity.
Mate, you're lagging. What are you doing?
Good enough can cost you the game, so stop settling. Wifinity is built for real-life on base, so you can game without compromise. Posted somewhere new? Take your Wi-Fi with you, no hassle. Get fast, reliable Wi-Fi with Wifinity. Use code BFBS50 to get 50% off the first 3 months.
back to Affinity after Yfinity. That's the name of today. But right, I've got to let's break down qualifying, okay? Because that felt a little bit chaotic. I don't think we've seen a race with that many sort of yellow caution signs flashing in qualifying alone. And with less drivers as well. Feels like it was definitely a little bit more of a scrap today, wouldn't you say?
I think this is the thing with Monza. It's always been a track that they've had to actually implement rules in the Formula One to stop what we call or commonly call as a car park right at the end, just before parabolic at the final corner. So a lot of them yellow flags that you were seeing are more than likely the drivers, or most likely the drivers, that are trying to just give themselves a little bit of a gap to the car in front because they just heated up all their tires, and then someone's slowing down in front, then they're catching up, and the last thing you want to be doing around here is getting stuck in the turbulent air of the car in front. So they'll get on that back straight after Ascari, slow down a little bit, open up that gap so they get clean air and maybe a distance tow that'll be able to gain at least a couple of extra kilometers an hour down the straight, but not enough to compromise the aerodynamic package that they have. So that those are probably the reason why you're seeing all them yellow flags and maybe the odd little corner cut over at Ascari. But chaotic in the sense of how close the timings were. There was not much in it.
Poundlander, is this kind of, we talked about how our predictions are already starting to come to fruition. Is there anything that you've noticed from this qualifying that you're like, that's going to be something we're keeping in the back of our mind, something that we're seeing is foreshadowing of what you think is going to come in the main race?
Well, you know, the whole grid was separated by a second and a half. We got to remember that. So it's everyone really is in with a chance here of causing a bit of chaos, maybe even shaking up our top three predictions. If the drivers are listening to us, they might be going, yeah, we want the win, but also we want the commentators to sweat a little bit. I bet that's what they're thinking about right now. To really spice it up a little bit. But Adam Thompson, we didn't mention in our predictions until I mentioned it as we started qualifying. And again, I said it during qualifying. When Adam came in, he was quick, and we knew he was quick. I think I said Las Vegas, he came in at Singapore and won on his first race. So we know Adam Thompson was there, and him improving, it's a 10th. There's a 10th in it in their fast lap. Obviously, they're running on pretty much no fuel. So when they go into the race, they'll be running on what is practically a full tank. So it's going to change a little bit. But if Adam can keep within a 10th each lap, I could see changes in lead constantly. So who knows? I think it's going to be even though it's only 7 drivers, we are really going to be in for a really good battle here, even just for the win.
I reckon we will be. But what we're also in for is a short little bit of a break because it is incredibly hot over here. So what we're going to do is I'm going to allow you two to go stand by the AC, get some fresh air for a second. We'll be back for the race very soon. Here we are, the final lap. Well, no, not the final lap, but that's coming soon. The final hurrah here of the BFBS Pro League featuring F125. And while we talked about it, we will be crowning our, the podium dwellers by the end of this. The likelihood of us seeing somebody new on top of the podium for today as well is looking highly likely. And we're just getting everyone ready to go. But it's been 8 weeks of madness. I'm going to ask you both here, what has been your highlight? What has been your favorite moment from the past 8 weeks? The number one, maybe it's number one battle, maybe it's number one crash out. What has been your highlight?
The pancaking. Or the
Pancaking.
baconing. The pancaking and the baconing. I can't
him.
remember what we called it. Yeah, in case anyone doesn't know, so this happened in Spa, a good little battle for sort of a mid pack battle, and then just out of nowhere, on board with the car in front, enter stage left, bacon and pancakes has absolutely sent it around the outside of the bus stop chicane. Didn't quite make it stick, just by a little bit. Yeah, but that's definitely one of the highlights, because it was just me and George, our reaction to that, just out of nowhere. Just, it is what it is. The pancake maneuver, I'm being told in the chat.
Pancake maneuver, as we have dubbed it. Powerlander, what about you?
Oh, you're muted, George.
I think you're muted.
Forgot to unmute myself here.
Oh, there you go.
There we go.
I've got two. I'm going to be greedy. The first one definitely is the baking pancake maneuver. Our reactions. I wish we had commentator cams for that, because I think if you saw my reaction and you saw Jack's reaction, I think because we sat on a call after, we both just looked at each other and went, "What was that?" Hopefully the season carries on, and it has. It's been crazy. I think favorite moment of the season had to be last week, having just that kind of privilege to crown Phoenix as champion. I didn't think I was going to be able to do that. I thought, it's going to be, Jack or someone, because normally it's me or Jack or TK, but I had the honor of doing that. And that is going to stick in my memory for a long time. And just being able to say, Phoenix is a champion, and he's been like it all season. That is the definitive for me.
Yeah, first ever F125. And to be honest with you, if we move over to F126, we'll technically be our only F125 champion. But our first sim racing BFBS Pro League legend was crowned. And honestly, Poundland, you absolutely killed it on that one. It's just been so much fun to listen to you both over sort of the 8 weeks. You've been absolutely killing it. Now, we should be heading into the race very, very shortly. Teams are readying up. Are there any final words you want to say to the drivers before we get underway? Poundland, do you want to go first?
First of all, thank you very much for an incredible season. Even when me and Jack haven't been commentating, we've been watching, and you can't stop watching it. So it's been incredible. And secondly, prepare yourself for the 26 cards. If you haven't touched them already, get used to them. They are a handful. I've tried them. I still am not used to them after God knows how many weeks of having it. But I cannot wait for the season that we do it. So get ready, and thank you very much.
Jack, what about you? Any fighting words for the drivers before we head into the race?
Well, again, like George said, big thanks to everyone for actually letting us here, but we're not done yet. And I will say the battle for second and third in the championship is still on. And I think all the drivers are still here today. So only a few points available. So whoever gets P1, it could completely change how the standings go. So no heroics into turn one, but anything after that is fair game.
Yeah, and I saw a couple of people talking in the Pro League chat before we sort of went into qualifying about how today is with no Phoenix. Today's really the first chance that a lot of these racers have felt that podium could be theirs. And I think even though first place, it is just out of reach, the fact that so much can fundamentally to change today has made these players so much hungrier, and that we are going to see it left all out on the track. I believe we're just getting a quick little reset of the lobby. On the plus side, getting all of the wrinkles ironed out before we go in here. But I'm going to ask both of you. So we talked a little bit about F126 and how different it feels. Why does it feel different? Because I haven't had a chance yet to test any of this out. Poundlander, what makes it so different?
What makes different is the cars are completely different. They're a shorter wheelbase, so they're a lot shorter. They're quite a bit smaller in width and length, but also it's a 50-50 power split between your battery and your combustion engine, the V6, the turbocharged V6 that we have. And you've got to not only think about how much fuel you're using and think about that, you've also got to remember your battery, making sure your battery always has a little bit of power in it, because the minute you start deracing, you're going to start seeing that kind of speed start to slow down. And that's it's what they're called super clipping at the moment. A lot the real life F1 cars do have this, and it's a real big problem at the moment, because what we're seeing is if a car is super clipping in front, but the car behind has overtake mode, we saw it in Japan at the start of the real F1 season, it can cause a monumental accident. Ollie Behrman had that overtake mode, had the extra power. The car ahead was deracing, trying to charge his battery, moved just as slightly. Ollie Behrman onto the grass, lost all control of the car, went into the barrier. So what the drivers now, when they go into this new game, they have to keep an eye on their battery, and they need to make sure there is battery in there. Otherwise, they're going to find themselves quickly going from first to last.
Now, Jack, I'm going to ask you. There might be people potentially watching this now, maybe watching back the VOD in the future. What would you say to anyone that hasn't played in the Pro League, hasn't raced in the Pro League, that if we end up with a second season in the future, what would you say to people about the Pro League?
I'd say no matter what level of talent that you are, there's always going to be a spot, on the grid. I mean, that's why the whole premise of the simultaneous grids is that we got there is that we can have 2 or 3 different grids or different races going on at the same time, and you get the qualifying time, doesn't matter where you are, and you'll get put in one of them 3 races. So if you've never played Formula One before, do it. If you've never played any other games, driving games, or others available out there, absolutely go for it. Everyone here is really friendly. Yeah, it's competitive, but yeah, it's also casual on the other side. Everyone does have a laugh with each other. It's just don't shy away, because I know there's been sometimes that I'm like, oh, I should have entered that commentating competition, or I should have joined in on that season. But then I shy away from it, and I've just missed out on a massive opportunity when I'm looking at everyone else drive. I'm like, oh, well, I'm bored now. So don't shy away. Absolutely go for it. Everyone's friendly. There's always going to be a spot for you on the grid. And the more drivers we have, the more fun you're going to get, the better the coverage that we're going to be able to provide you, because we can flick through all 3 qualifying sessions as well. So it's going to keep me and George on our toes. So a little bit of an incentive. It's going to be absolute chaos. But yeah, absolutely, it's worth it.
I'm looking forward to it, because there's been a real drive for it, and people have been really loving it as well. I mean, the Pro League Discord channels have been popping off a little bit, seeing how everyone's been interacting. I mean, we look back to that week where the reason that I'm such a big Hog Devil Dog fan was, I'm trying to remember which track it was. It was
Singapore.
It was Singapore, and he was like, I'm going to be taking prisoners today. Not intentionally, but if you're in my way, I'm sorry, we're both going down. And I absolutely love it. But it's been a lot of fun, and this real sense of community is built up. And also, there'll be somebody who's watching. We had a couple of people come up to a Cosford. We need someone to take down Phoenix. We need someone to go toe-to-toe. Because other than that 1 week with penalties, he's been pretty undisputed at the top. So I want to see people coming in next year hungrier than ever. Now, we should be getting ready to go momentarily. Producers literally typing to us right now. And what I'm going to do for the last time in this championship, Poundlander, Jack Lemon, take it away.
Well, George, I'm going to take this one because you did the last one, but here we are then. We are finally here to wait for that checkered flag here in Monza, Autodromo Internazionale de Monza. As we said on the earlier, a little bit earlier, should we say, there's 11 corners, 3.59 miles, 7 to the right and 4 to the left. 2 DRS zones available on this track with cars reaching speeds of up to 217 miles an hour with a 50% chance of a safety car. An iconic track, George, plenty to play for here in the race after we saw what happened in qualifying on how close the gaps were.
Well, absolutely, Jack. I think what we've got here is it's going to be a classic. Yes, it's only 7 drivers, but it's still an absolute classic of a track. Like we've seen it in real life F1, as we said a little bit earlier. This track being here since 1950, it's a staple not only for Formula One fans, but for Ferrari fans. This is the Ferrari homeland. We're not running teams. We use the world cars, but I can for sure tell you, if one of those cars was red, wearing that Ferrari logo and the prancing horse going round this iconic track, the tifosi around here would be going absolutely crazy. But nevertheless, even with 7, it can be a race to remember, especially with the fact the champion is taking a well-deserved break.
That he has. Definitely a well-deserved break. And these drivers I see on the track at the moment, I believe, proven Adam Thompson, Edward Fleming are all currently battling for the last 2 spots in the top 3 of the Drivers' Championship. So all still to play for. 25 points for grabs for the winner of this race. As we can see, mixed strategies on the cars with Edward Fleming in 3rd place, looking to go long on the first stint on the hard tyres, with Chewy and Stevie Mack also following suit. But proven Adam Thompson, Case Pryor and Devil Dog all electing for the medium, so we should see them hit a little bit earlier than Fleming and Stevie Mack, unless they can find a way to extend their tyre life during the Grand Prix. But yes, proven Adam Thompson, Edward Fleming, all battling for that final spot on the podium. And again, the timings were tight in qualifying, George. The timings were a bit tight as they come round Parabolica.
The timings were tight, but the racing hopefully will be even tighter. Very small grid, all very similar times, so we shouldn't expect massive gaps. But it's Monza. We don't know what's going to happen. They line up on the grid. For the final time, Jack, let's send them away, shall we?
I think we shall. Last car is up on the grid. Here we go then. It's time for Monza. That is waiting for the lights. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lights. They pause for the effect for the final time in 2026 or 2025, and it's lights out and away they go. And it looked like a really good start there from Proven. Adam Thompson just bogging down. I say, take that back. Adam Thompson now side by side with Proven. The run down into turn 1. They're all jockeying for positions, looking to go 3 wide into turn 1. Little bit of contact there from the top 2 runners, but they make it around. More contact as well. And now that's Proven dropping down a couple of places. Note that Adam Thompson, shall I say, losing a couple of places down there. Edward Fleming still up in P2, hot on the heels of Proven. Is he looking to go side by side into the very anti-chicane? Looks for it, goes for the switchback, and that is deep from Edward Fleming, missing on the apex. A huge lock up there. Proven getting a break of fresh air as he careers over the chicane, so may get a bit of a penalty for track limits on that one. So Proven extends a little bit further away. Adam Thompson, though, in the back, now hot on the heels of Edward Fleming, did manage to rejoin on that track. Onto the track as they go down, and now the double back straight, as here we have a replay now of the start finish. You can see them all jockeying for position up into P1. Huge lock up there from Proven. A little bit of contact there on Adam Thompson, a bit of the squeeze on the exit, but manages to get through. Maybe a little bit of wing damage now as they come down towards Parabolica. Line astern from all of them. The gaps have closed right back up, so the DRS train is now been formed as they're about to cross the start finish line for the first time, and DRS will be enabled to got a move up on the inside there. I think that was Adam Thompson and Edward Fleming crossing the line. Proven sets the fastest lap of the Grand Prix. They're still jockeying for position down in towards turn 1.
Yeah, they're still going. DRS enabled then after the first lap. And interesting first. That's contact.
Spinner! You've got a spinner off the front!
Fleming! And on Devil Dog, I think. Or was it Chewy?
No, I think that's Chewy. It's Chewy.
Chewy and Edward Fleming contact into turn 1. Edward Fleming, 3rd fastest going into this race. He is now at the back. It's always win and lose, as we said at the start. Something can happen and you go down to the back of the field. Oh, why did it go into contact again?
And
oh,
we've got
it's
more
an
contact going up the
spin
front.
for Chewy and Edward Fleming, by the looks of it. Or KS Pryor, I should say. What was going on there? We have to get a replay, see what happened. But that is just what Monza is. Wheel-to-wheel contact is going to cost you, especially down into turn one. We head into the replay of what's happened down at the chicane. Yeah, just causing contact, getting just on that inside. And I think that was KS Pryor not really leaving enough room on the outside for Chewy to get through there. Chewy now out of Ascari is able to get up into P5. But for Edward Fleming, it's time for a bit of a resurgence, I think is probably the best word.
Yeah, we can see Edward Fleming did drop down to about 3 seconds. Now closing the gap on KS Pryor. As we've got an overtake up in front. That is Stevie Mack on Adam Thompson, proving another huge lockup into turn one on their medium tyres. Needs to be careful not to flat spot them too much, otherwise you're going to lose the tyre deg that you need to extend your stints. But Stevie Mack, though, DRS overtake up into P2, is now looking to chase down Proven in, for the lead of this Grand Prix. It has set a purple middle sector by the looks of it as well, as Edward Fleming looks to have a little bit of a mistake near the back, dropping on KS Pryor. But KS Pryor, hot on the heels of Chewy, looks like they're going around the first Lesmo now in towards the second Lesmo. 0.4 of a second. We'll pick up the DRS. And that was a huge snap moment from Chewy. He did well to hold that. That was risky. And then KS Pryor, again, a snap. We said it earlier in qualifying, snaps in the Lesmos can literally make or break, especially in the second one, where the car will naturally want to career into the barrier. As that's KS Pryor now, possibly track limit violation there going into Ascari, but has got that, is still holding in front of Chewy. But Adam Thompson now closing back on to Stevie Mack.
Absolutely. Look at a replay then coming out of Lesmo 1. You can see there Chewy having a massive slide, getting onto the asphalt and the grass, losing the back end on the wheel spin. But then KS Pryor on the exit of Lesmo 2 does pretty much the same thing. Hits the AstroTurf and then hits the grass, caught and then getting a little bit of wheel spin. As we have a look, Chewy into turn one, locking up there by KS Pryor. Chewy able to capitalise that with the inside, which then turns into the outside. And also getting past Hog Devil Dog as well, who's going slowly out of turn two. KS Pryor going to have a go around Curva Grande. It's Sebastian Vettel.
Oh, he's boxed in!
There by Hog Devil Dog, really putting his elbows out. Hog Devil Dog's going to go into the and Hog Devil Dog does it into the chicane. KS Pryor able to get past Chewy as Chewy was slow out of the chicane there. Chewy with a moment to forget, but Hog Devil Dog, we can see what happened here. Goes around Curva Grande and just hits into him, turning a little bit too much. That might be a steward's report there by the looks of it, because wheel-to-wheel contact, it's something that we shouldn't be seeing in Formula One. It does happen, but you try to avoid it as much as possible, because you got to remember damage mode on this. It's not only going to affect your front wing, it's going to affect the barge boards as well. If you break the barge boards, they cannot be repaired, and you are really struggling for the rest of the Grand Prix, especially around Monza.
Yeah, downforce is the one thing that you don't need around Monza, but unfortunately you do need a little bit to help get around the corners, and that's the last thing you want to see. But going off KS Pryor then, it looked like he absolutely just got boxed in. There was nowhere for him to go, as he now looks down on Hog Devil, thinks about it, a move on the inside, not quite alongside, but looks for a tempted switchback. Gets a heavy wheel spin going out of the first chicane around Curva Grande. You can see now Hog Devil harvesting his battery. You can see the rain light flashing. Are we going to see the move now into the second Variante chicane? It looks a little sufficiently alongside to me. Is it going to be a drop in 2 positions for Hog Devil? Holds it together. They both a little bit of contact, wheel to wheel out the back. Somehow they are still going, and look at the battle that's going on now. There goes Edward, three wide, going through the first Lesmo. Are they going to be 3 wide going through the second Lesmo? 2 of them are off the track. They are sideways and into the barrier. He holds it. So that's Edward Fleming absolutely pushing the limits to try and catch up with the front pack. The gaps up the front haven't moved that much, but Edward Fleming doing well to hold that one out the barrier going through the second Lesmo. You can see it now with KS Pryor. The little battle in the background, not enough room. 3 do not go into 1 at that part of the track. So Hog Devil and Edward Fleming possibly picking up some end plate damage from the initial contact. I think Chewy has got right-hand end plate damage. You can see huge lockup at the front by Stevie Mack, still hot on the heels, and is now within DRS of Proven, going round Curve Grande, just drops out of it a little bit.
Honestly, I do hope the guys in the gallery have cast the cams on today, because if you saw me on my chair, both of my feet were on the chair after that, because that there, it was exciting, but again, 3 don't go into 1, especially around Monza. It's very tight. Adam Thompson trying to catch up Stevie Mack, putting the power down a bit too early and snapping the rear. He needs to get within that second to open DRS. You can see here he wasn't in that second in the detection point, which that is just before Lesmo 2. So that snap really did pull away that time gap. So he needs to try and catch up, which he's already done. He's at 7/10 of a second. But again, as he goes wide out of Ascari, that's not going to help him at all. But again, with Edward Fleming, Hog Devil Dog and Chewy, it could be seen as a racing incident. I think they're all trying. There's points up for grabs today, and there's big points as well. So they're all trying to get those points as we speak. Adam Thompson now starting the pit stops into pit lane. I think it'll be for the hard tyre, Jack.
More than likely. Looking at the start then, with a little bit of changes as the game goes along, Monza has now become a 2-stop race at a 50% racing distance. So there he is onto the hards, and that is Adam Thompson in the pit, just leaving the pit lane. Is that going to be on the hard tyres? No, that's on the medium tyres for Adam Thompson then. Hog Devil still on the medium tyres. So yeah, bit early for a pit stop for me. So it looks like Adam Thompson is going medium hard for the Grand Prix. So could see him now extend to maybe around lap 15, if not 16. And then get a good 7-8 laps on that one, and then be hard tyres to the end of the Grand Prix. So we'll have an offset in speed depending on what Proven, KS Pryor and Hog Devil are going to do for their next stop. Are they looking to do medium hard, or they're going to go medium hard medium and save the tires for some little bit of speed right at the end of the Grand Prix? But we'll wait and see. Up at the front, Proven and Stevie Mack still battling. He does have the DRS if he was within the range of the detection point. Are we going to see Proven into the pit and react to what Adam Thompson has done? No, they are going straight down the start finish in towards turn 1. Are we going to see any more people into the pits having that trigger being pulled?
I think it's too early. I think, the medium tyres can go a bit longer. I say that Chewy's in on the hard tyre. So whether Chewy's got a little bit more deg on the tyres due to the contact and the wheel spinning, that could be what it is. I think what we're seeing a lot here today is a lot of lockups and a lot of wheel spinning, especially when the car snaps out of the Lesmos. That's going to really burn the rear tyres up and really get rid of that grip. So I think that's why we're probably seeing people come into the pits now. Adam Thompson's going to try and get past Hog Devil Dog. Hog Devil Dog's a bit slower by the looks of it on pace. So whether that's just maybe due to some downforce loss on the barge balls, potentially, we don't know. But he is trying. Come on, Hog Devil Dog. I think Affinity will be saying back in the host room. But Adam Thompson able to get up to 5th. You say Adam Thompson could be going for a medium hard here. We got to remember, we have reset the lobby. Therefore, fresh tyres are available. That means fresh softs are available. So there is a potential as Edward Fleming gets a 3-second tyre penalty. That's not going to be good for his race. We go on with Proven then. Stevie Mack with the speed advantage with DRS and using his battery heads into the first position and takes it from Proven. But how much battery has he got left? That's going to be a question, because Proven has got the majority, at least 75% of his battery remaining. KS Pryor enters the pit lane now and will look to go onto the hard tyre. Yep. But what I was saying about Adam Thompson, because he's got softs available, could he try and extend the life of those mediums, really care for them, try not to lock the tyres and light up the rears? Could he potentially go for a medium soft?
I mean, softs did pop up there, but I don't think it's going to be a viable choice, because the soft tyres around here, with it being such high deg circuit, won't really. They'll probably last about 4 laps, and then that'll be them off the cliff. But as we look at a replay further back, this is back when Chaos Prior got a little bit boxed in, trying to make the overtake on Chewy and Hog Devil. Nothing that you can do. Once you box it in, go around Curve Grande, there's not really much you can do. Now, what I did notice earlier, George, is obviously Chewy came into the pits, but Chewy did have a longer stop. He had front right end plate damage on his car. So that's probably why Chewy decided to box a little bit earlier on the hard tyres, just to get that front wing changed, so you can actually get the benefit of the downforce for the rest of the Grand Prix. As proven now, Stevie Mac has officially led a Grand Prix lap in this season. I believe this is the only lap that he's led so far, and proven in that DRS zone. I believe now, George, we are in the crossover window for the hards and the medium tyres. So the hards are now the favourable tyre.
Yeah, hards are definitely the favourable tyre now, because the hard tyre, they take a little bit of getting used to and to warm up and start to grip. But when they start to grip, they act like a medium at that point. So they have a bit more life. They're able to go a bit faster, but that's the fastest they're going to go at that point, realistically. But they're going to be able to go maybe, with this track, maybe 3 laps, if that, a little bit longer compared to the medium runners. But in those 3 extra laps, the drivers who are on those hards, we're looking at Stevie Mac and Edward Fleming, they need to be pushing the car to its absolute limit and not over it. So then when it comes to the pit stops and the strategy, they can do the overcut and get out before the car behind.
It is, but what's going to be curious up at the front now that Stevie Mac has opened that 1 second gap, is he going to possibly go for maybe an undercut and risk maybe a hard medium strategy? Or, that's a little bit wide there from Adam Thompson, as Hog Devil gets a 3-second penalty for exceeding track limits. I said it's going to happen around Monza. Looking at where Hog Devil was, looks like he was coming through the first Lesbo. Proven is in, so Proven's going to go for the undercut. He's seen that 2-second gap open up, but what is the tyre choice? Is he going to go on the hard tyres, and is Stevie going to respond? He has. Proven's on the hard tyres now, so he's going to be running late into the Grand Prix. He may even try and commit to a 1 stop, but I don't think that's going to be possible with 17 laps remaining. So Stevie Mac can respond to this one, put on another set of hard tyres, but then he commits and has to then stop again. As we see up at front, Edward Fleming chasing down Adam Thompson, who came out of the pits just ahead of him. So it was a perfectly timed stop for Adam. I'll get my words out for Adam. So he's only on 4 lap fresher tyres, so did manage to get out in a little bit of free air, to say the least. But looking back then, Proven down in P4 at the moment, 6 seconds off the pace, but yet to pit is Stevie Mac, Edward Fleming, and that is it. So they're going to be extending as long as they can. But when is Stevie going to come in, George? He needs about 20 seconds.
He's going again. I think Adam lost a bit of time, possibly under the pressure of Edward Fleming being behind. It went to about 18 seconds, but that time's starting to dwindle down again. Stevie Mac needs to really send the car into every single corner and push the limit to be able to get out at least ahead of Adam Thompson. I would say at least ahead of Edward Fleming. Adding it up, I think we need kind of a gap to leader here on the timing tower to get an idea. But KS Pryor at 121.9 there, so able to set the fastest laps. Those hard tyres, even though they're fresh, he's still being able, because they're fresher, he is able to set the fastest laps. If by the looks of it with Proven, he could get there and get out ahead of Proven. That's who he needs to get ahead of. With the gap that it is, it's possible if he pitted now, he would get out ahead of Proven. But with Adam Thompson would go past. But depending on what tyre Stevie Mac goes on to, he could have an advantage.
Yeah, just trying to do the maths myself. So you look at it, 19, 21, maybe 22, 23 seconds-ish, which around here, your average pit stop time is 23.7 seconds. And that's if you're stationary with no penalties and no repairs that you have to do on the cars. So Stevie Mac is looking to probably do the overcut, or he's going to try and do a 1-stop strategy, which is possible but you're going to be struggling for tyres at the end, because we saw it in Silverstone with Edward losing out due to a puncture going through Cops, believe it was. And that was the race ruin as he was chasing down the possible win from Proven. So all still to play for here in the Grand Prix. I know the drivers will have on their MFD, the little multifunction or field display that will tell them which position they are expected to come out of if they are to pit. And I'm sure Stevie is looking at that, waiting to see that gap open. But if anything, it is going the opposite direction. Proven now closing very rapidly on Edward Fleming. You can see now that's 18, 19, about 21 seconds, 22 seconds is now the gap that Stevie has over Proven as we hit lap 13 of 27. And when is he going to pit?
If I was Stevie right now, I'd think about pitting now. If he wants any chance of being anywhere close to Proven going into the later stages of this race, I'd be pitting now to be able to get the DRS advantage. But it looks to me with the line he's taking, staying out again, so that time's going to dwindle down. We look at Proven, he's chasing Edward Fleming to get into the podium positions. Edward Fleming with that penalty as well, so it's guaranteed. As Edward Fleming goes a little bit wide, Proven's going to take advantage, overtakes before the DRS zone, and is able to get into P3. He'll have the DRS advantage going down the straight as well because of the detection point. I am wrong. Edward Fleming is going to come back. They're tight. It's going into turn one. Edward Fleming locks
big lock up, and he's gone deep
into the runoff. He's going to have to get that position back to Proven because he overtook outside of the track limits. He gives it back. Drops back as well. Proven now back into the podium positions.
There is still exciting stuff going on here. The championship, the P2, P3 for the championship is still on. Well, Adam Thompson currently holding in P2, but the way that Proven is driving at the moment, keeping that pressure on. Now ready 2 seconds clear of Edward Fleming. So 5 seconds, 5.5 seconds, and watch that gap slowly possibly come down as we've got a replay in towards zone one. Looks to go to the inside, late on the brakes, but you could just see how much speed that was being carried there by Edward, just a little bit too much. And that's literally what happens when you lock up your front tires. They do not want to spin, they don't turn, they don't turn, they don't grip. So definitely some excitement in the latter stages of the Grand Prix. Lap 15 of 27 here in Autodromo Internacional Monza. I will get the word out eventually, but I'm too tired. I feel like my mouth is stopping to use its function. But into the pits, though, Adam Thompson comes in now. So he's now dropping down the order as expected, about 23 seconds into the pits. But he will have fresh rubber, and I would imagine that they could be hard tyres to the end of the Grand Prix, less he has to use the medium compound tyres, because I can't remember what stops he had done in his pits, but now comes out of the pit lane just ahead of Chewy. You can see now Chewy down in P6, closing that gap, closed down as Adam Thompson now is going to struggle to get some temperatures into the tires, but Chewy gets a little bit squirrely coming out of turn one in towards Curve Grande, and it looks like Adam Thompson may have definitely held that position in P5.
Yeah, absolutely. Adam Thompson with his second stop hopefully should not need to stop again in this Grand Prix. But if you are sat watching, you've only just joined us, first of all, welcome. Second of all, where have you been? It's been an exciting Italian Grand Prix and an exciting qualifying. So you're in for a treat in this second phase of the Grand Prix. We're over half race distance. We look at KS Pariah then. Down the back straight on the run to Parabolica is etching forward. Probably will wait for the DRS zone coming out Parabolica. You can see the light flashing on the rear of Edward Fleming as he comes around the outside. Edward Fleming looking to pit as well. So KS Pariah into the podium positions. And he's got 10-second time penalty for speeding in the pit lane. That is something we said in Singapore. This was difficult. Of course, the Singapore pit lane is difficult. Monza is another beast because you're coming out of Parabolica at around 150 miles an hour. So getting your stopping right for that pit lane, the speed limiter, because it's very early as you're coming into pit lane. It's very difficult. Edward Fleming, for the race that he's had already, that is going to be a big blow.
You silly, silly boy, which is what I was saying. That is a crucial mistake that you don't want to be doing at this stage of the Grand Prix. It's not quite a Monaco situation where all the drivers are getting pinged for it. And I know for a fact that would have been by about 1 to 2 kilometers an hour, 0.1 to 2 kilometers an hour over the speed limit. But that will either get served in the next round of pit stops. But if he is now on the hard tyres to the end of the Grand Prix, that time will be added to the end. And it looks like he's on the medium tyres, still battling with Hog Devil, gets very close to that rear diffuser. But Hog Devil not carrying a lot of speed going through the second Lesmo. You can just see now side by side, DRS wide open, and Devil harvesting this battery. He's looking at him. He's still trying to heat up his tyres. Yeah, he's still trying to get some heat into them tyres because they are fresh. They only come out the tyre blankets around 70 degrees, but the normal operating window for these tyres are around about 100, about 90 to 100 degrees. So trying to get some heat into them from right at the start can be quite difficult. So he wasn't really defending on that one, Georgia. I think he was just, like we've seen in the normal Formula One, they're just trying to get heat into them tyres just to get a bit more grip. And you can see he's already taken off.
Yeah, absolutely. It's probably what it was. I think you got to be careful when doing that. I know it, especially since he had his DRS open. Now, obviously, as we know about Monza, it's, you know, the wings are set at 0-0. When you open that DRS flap, you know, you're losing even more downforce.
There is
so
nothing.
actually weave it. It's gonna. There is already nothing. When you open that DRS, there is really nothing. So when you go to weave, it's very much a case of, as Adam Thompson, that's not going to be good. 3-second time penalty for track limits. He's going to really want to go out and try and get a 3-second gap to any car that gets ahead, especially if it gets to the podium positions.
No, Devil goes really wide.
Out of the first Lesmo going wide. That's not going to be good. As Stevie Mac now enters the pit lane, finally, for the set of medium tyres coming
He's one
off.
stopping. He's one stopping it.
He's doing the one stop. So Stevie Mac now is looking with fresh medium tyres as we go into a replay of Hog Devil Dog. Gets the apex, and yeah, just goes wide. Maybe he got a little bit of grass on the entry there, I think. So it looks like, yeah, just a bit of driver error there for Hog Devil Dogs. We see Adam Thompson having a bit of a slide there as Stevie Mac comes out ahead. Now, Adam Thompson will want to get not only ahead of Stevie Mac, but he needs 3 seconds ahead of Stevie Mac to be able to stay on the podium. That's what got Adam the win in Singapore. Can it stop him from getting a podium here in Monza? We'll have to wait and find out.
Yeah, still 8 laps left to go. No, try again. Good maths. 9 laps left to go. Here as Stevie Mac, he's... No! What is happening at the closing stages? Stevie Mac picks up a 3-second penalty for exceeding track limits on the second Lesmo. And I'm telling you, I called it at the start, things that was happening. That's got to be another 2 track limit warnings. Maybe gets away with that at the edge of Ascari, but definitely going on the exit Ascari as Adam Thompson capitalizes on that mistake from Stevie Mac, now takes that position away from him, and Stevie has got it all to work for now. He is about 8, 9, 10, 11 seconds from the leader as he is deploying that battery. He's going to be the old switcheroo DRS wide open down the straight, but is Adam Thompson going to come back at him? A little bit of move, flashing the mirrors saying he's still there. Mediums versus hards. You can just see there, Stevie going wide twice. Will probably get away with it from the exit of that Ascari. Because it didn't gain a lasting advantage. But you can see now on the rear wing with Stevie Mac, 3/10 of a second, 3.5 tenths of a second into the second Variante chicane, in towards the first Lesmo, using their medium tyres to get as much traction as they can. But I think the hards are at their peak performance, and the mediums are just trying to get in their correct window, George.
Yeah, absolutely. Just trying to get in the correct window, trying to warm up and just really try and, you know, stick to the surface of the asphalt there. But now I was saying about how Adam Thompson needs to get 3 seconds ahead. Not anymore. He just needs to overtake Stevie Mac because that penalty will counteract with Stevie's as well. So it's all game on for the podium positions. But you see there, that rear light of Adam Thompson, that's flashing. That means 10% or around that is left in his battery, and he's starting to regen that battery energy. Just remember, 90% of the grid this evening are on a full sim rig as Adam Thompson gets in to P2. So P2 now for Adam Thompson, able to get past Stevie Mack as KS Pryor enters pit lane for a fresh set of boots. But yeah, 10% of drivers on a wheel, 90% on a sim rig. It's safe to say on this game, a sim rig is the faster way, but if you're skilled on controller, Jack, you could be just as quick.
You really can. You look back a few years as Edward Fleming and KS Pryor do a little bit of a change in position as we just get a little bit of a screen blip there. But these positions now changed over, and it's a battle of the battery going around Curve Grande. But what we're saying about the controller players, we have seen them in before. If you remember the F1 Pro Leagues, the F1 esports seasons. If you remember a guy called Pieface.
He's only about an hour down the road from me. He's in Plymouth.
Well,
I'm an Exeter, and he's a Plymouth fan. I actually met him at a Plymouth versus Exeter game. Yeah,
nice.
It was fun.
Nice. But yeah, he was a controller player on Formula One, and he was actually pretty good for someone on controller. I could never do it. I had to upgrade to a wheel as soon as I could, mainly because of Monaco. I just couldn't drive Monaco on a controller. But yeah, if someone's playing on a controller, fair play. Each to their own. They've all got their own skill. But speaking of skills at the moment, KS Pryor is still hunting down Edward Fleming. Is he looking for a little switchback through Parabolica? That's a place that you do not see any overtakes happen, and that is a great move from KS Pryor up into P4 and does get the benefit. Edward Fleming does get the DRS, so he overtook him just a little bit too early. But what is happening at the moment? You've got a couple of battles on track. You've got Edward and KS Pryor. They're battling. The gap from Edward to Stevie Mack, 22.4 seconds. As these two are fighting, it is letting Stevie and Adam Thompson go away. And this is some exciting stuff now in towards the second variante chicane. Nose to diffuser on KS Pryor. For Edward Fleming onto KS Pryor, but that gap up ahead is opening more and more, and as Stevie and Adam keep fighting, that gap to Proven is going to increase. 8 laps left. No, 8 laps left to go. No, 6.
Yeah, I mean,
5, 6. Hang on, I know my maths. 6 laps to go.
Gallery, pop it at the bottom for us. He's making our maths go a little bit weird here, but no, this is an incredible battle. And from what I've heard, Jack, there we go, 6 laps to go. Thank you, Gallery.
Yeah, thanks, guys. I've had a long day and I can't math. We all know this.
Yeah, that's it. But you see there, Edward Fleming goes a little bit wide into Parabolica. Now KS Pryor is able just to etch away with those fresh tyres, and now we're starting to see those gaps really start to come out. But you can see Edward Fleming, even though he's a second behind, he's got DRS because the activation point he was below a second, so he's able to do that. But from going back to control players and wheel players, Jack, you saying how you went onto a wheel straight away. From what I've heard, the Goose that is sat in your racing rig at the moment has more hours in it than you.
Well, yes, that's because I've been away. I have been away a lot. And I know she's in the Discord chats, or she's. I can see her. Stop it.
She's in the Twitch chat.
I know she's in the Twitch chat. It's because my comment of the year apparently is if your wheels don't turn, they don't grip. Jack Lemon 26. Thank you very much for that. And also the constant reminders to hydrate because it is hot. We're not going to lie, but not as hot as it would be in the cockpit of one of these cars in Monza, believe it or not, at this time of the year. There's still going to be about 70 to 80 degrees in that cockpit alone, with track temperatures around about 34 odd degrees, 30 to 40 odd degrees, ambient air temperature, what would you say? 35.
It'd probably be about. It's normally about double. It's normally about double whatever the air temperature is, because obviously in the cars you've got not only your own body heat and it's circulating around that very small cockpit. You've got to remember, in a Formula One car, you're sat on the floor and there's not a lot of room. That's why they're sat in a semi-reclined position. So there's not a lot of room really to wiggle around in, and the gear shifters are on the steering wheel itself. You've got the heat from the engine and the battery, which is then producing more heat. So it's probably about 70 to 80 degrees in these cockpits. I know in Singapore, where humidity and heat is high, they lose about 3 kilograms of weight just from sweating. That's why we do always say, not only to you guys in the chat or us as casters, but to the drivers as well. If you're going down the straight and you've got a bit of a gap, remember to hydrate.
Absolutely, and I've just been getting a little bit of an update at the moment for the drivers' standings as it stands currently on the grid. So Proven is currently P2 in the championship with 85 points. If he takes the win here, he will put him secured in P2 with 100 points in the drivers' championship. Following that, AOT Rifle, or Adam Thompson, as you can see, with his current position in P2, that will secure him at 74 points and P3 in the championship. So that is the battle at the top three at the moment. But with a few laps to go, anything can happen, because if there is an incident on track or an incident further back, or people change places, as Hog Devil with a 10-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. Latter stages of the Grand Prix, I think Hog Devil may be going on soft tyres and trying to go for the fastest lap of the Grand Prix. Currently, it will be getting the 3 points, I believe, from this. As we're having a look. Yeah, it should be getting 3 points from this.
Yep.
But yes, as it stands, though, Proven is currently securing his way into P2 in the championship with AOT Rifle or Adam Thompson with P3. Then you got Edward Fleming, which will be on 45 points, Chewy on 41, Chaos Pryor on 25, Stevie Mac on 24, and Hog Devil Dog on 8. But believe he will get a few points. So as long as the driver completes 75% race distance, they qualify for points in the Grand Prix.
I think there's
As
something
we just
that's
see on there.
a yellow. Chewy
Yeah,
has
that'd be
now been lapped.
Chewy getting out of the way, I believe, for a faster car that you can just see now. So that's Chewy going around Curve Grande at the moment, just getting out of the way of what looks like Stevie Mac, nearly 5 seconds behind Adam Thompson. The bold one-stop strategy was there for Stevie, but I think to no avail to make it pay off, as the hard tyres now are definitely coming into the window, and the crossovers possibly looking likely on their medium tyres.
Yeah, that's it. The crossover's really starting now, coming into the last 3 laps or so of this Grand Prix. Drivers starting with the fatigue. If they haven't got an AC unit in the room, the heat fatigue's really coming in and it's really starting to, affect their driving. We've seen it a few times where they're going wide, and that it could just be due to the heat. The fatigue's really starting to kick in. So drivers now really have to focus for the next 2 laps of this Grand Prix, as Proven starts the penultimate lap and is really insecure in the P2. Again, Proven has been one that we've been saying all season, Jack. He's given it to Phoenix, really given Phoenix a really good battle. They've pretty much been in every race that I've seen them in, they've nearly been on par in pace. But obviously, the minute Phoenix runs away with it, Phoenix does run, but Proven isn't very far in the background. So who knows? Maybe going into next season, Proven may even be able to get there from Phoenix and take that championship.
Yeah, everything, should I say, is to play for, especially with the new regulation of cars coming out with the 26 DLC. So a lot of things that the drivers need to get used to, even something as simple as remembering to put your straight line mode on, or your straight mode, turning that on about 4 or 5 times a lap. Depends on some of the crazier tracks, but round round the Scary chicane that he goes, you can see now Chewy down at the back. He did pit again towards only a couple of laps ago onto, I believe, the soft compound tires, trying to get a bonus point for the fastest lap. I'm sure he'll be doing that one, harvesting his battery. Oh no! It looks like he just went a little bit wide on the exit of a Scary, lost the back end of the car and careered ping-ponged into the barrier. That was something we didn't expect to see. It was because he went off as the camera went just over the bridge, as Proven now has started the final lap, and he's in to the first chicane. Is the damage on Chewy's car? think he may have gotten away with it on the front end plate, but that was so bizarre. Nope, his front right end plate, his front right wing is a little bit battered and bruised. So that's going to hamper him for the rest of the lap, but he only has to worry about only getting around a few more corners, George. Excitement to the end.
A few more corners. Excitement to the end. That's what this league has been all season, hasn't it? Been absolutely incredible. Really proving his name here. Because, again, like I said before, he's been in the background all the time. And today just shows it. Been able to lead from the front and really not only give us interesting battles with people like Adam Thompson and Stevie Mack, but when he's there, he runs away with it. Final corner to go. Jack, the line is in sight.
It is, and for the final time in 2026, he's won in Silverstone, and he takes the win on the final race of the season. Proven wins in Monza with a hard-fought fight with Adam Thompson, who crosses line P2, serving his 3-second penalty. He Proven started from the front, and he finishes at the front, which is where he wanted to be. But my, oh my, was it a battle, and he had to fight to keep that position. Stevie Mack ends up on the podium for the first time this season. Chaos Pryor finishes up in P4, one of 2 drivers to not receive a penalty for track limit violation or speeding in the pit lane. Edward Fleming, though, it was a shame that this had happened to him. He was up there on the second row, and a collision into turn 1. We need to see what happened with that one, but put him down towards the back, climbs back up to P5 as he spins across the line and actually misses the wall as the AI takes over, celebrating in style. But Hog Devil does finishing in P6 ahead of Chewy, who was lapped following a late pit stop. As here comes Hog Devil now round Parabolica for the final time this year, and takes the checkered flag. But you can just see now this is the replay of the Scandinavian flick across the finish line. It's usually a tradition when it comes to the end of seasons or the end of Grand Prix. But the drivers, though, on the podium, and with that podium has now confirmed and sealed that Proven has finished P2 in the BFBS Pro League, featuring F125 in P2. And again, with Adam Thompson's finish, with that, confirms and secures his spot in P3 in the championship. Was tied on points with Stepney Luke, but now with that, he does eke just ahead.
Well, when all is said and done, what a way to close this out. And as we said, closing it out in style there. I mean, first of all, how are the two of you doing? You still alive over there?
Just about. I mean, I do need to be awake in about 3.5 hours.
We'll keep this quick then. Now, we
it's
came
fine.
in with predictions.
I'm happy to wait.
Well, I mean, we came in with predictions and ever so slightly off there with that Edward G. Fleming. Unfortunate as it is there. But realistic predictions pretty good across the board here. Was there anyone that really surprised you? Because I know we said we had general predictions coming in. Was there anyone that just went a little bit above and beyond what you thought? Or, you know, did you call this from the start?
I mean, I would say me and George are pretty on with our predictions. You know, Proven, Adam Thompson. And then I said Stevie Mack would come in 4th. And I think you did as well, George.
Yeah.
But again, it's what happened to Edward into turn 1. Like, we saw the spin in the distance. I think it was lap 3 or 4. We saw the spin in the distance, and he tried to recover from that, but then had another incident going into Lesmos. So I'll say we're on par. We just, all it takes is one little collision, and then that changes the order. So we've got everyone in the right place, just missing one.
Yeah, but I mean, absolute pandemonium there. You know I'm going to ask you this question because we ask it every week. It's become a bit of a tradition. Who are we dubbing as our chaos agent of the race?
Hog Devil Dog.
You have that one, George.
Hog Devil Dog. I think
Or
he
Devil
brought the
Dog.
chaos a bit there, didn't he? Just going into Parabolica at one point and just coming into contact with I can't remember who it was at the time, and all we saw was the hand go up, going, "What are you doing?" Very Italian, as some would say. But Hulk Dog for me was the chaos maker. He kind of was there, shook it up with the incidents and that wheel to wheel. I think we saw at 1.3 wide into Lesmo 1 and Lesmo 2, which you shouldn't do it in Monza because
Nope.
it does not end well, and that's into any corner around here because the corners are so tight compared to other tracks. So yeah, Hogtail Dog, 100%.
Jack, you in agreement?
I am, yeah. It was, that Curve Grande, getting like Chaos Pryor, I think it was, who got boxed in, nothing he could do. A little bit of contact on the outside, like George said, the hand went up, and all you could do is sit and wait. And then right at the end, you saw him; he was pushing, trying to go for that fastest lap, and then snap oversteer coming out of the Ascari chicane and just careered into the barrier the other side. The Lesmo 2 just about manages to keep it out the wall as well, with a little bit of side by side battling with Edward Fleming on top. So yeah, I'll definitely say you gave us a lot of entertainment to watch during the Grand Prix. Definitely.
Absolutely. Now, the leaderboards. I'm not 100% sure. I think it is ready. We're going to take a look here from today. Proven taking the 25 points, Adam Thompson with 18, Stevie Mack with 15, and those are your top three. KS Pryor, another name that was on the tip of our tongues there. And as you can read the rest, we're not going to read out all of the numbers for you, but that is how our final race will end. And I think we've ended on a high. You know, even with fewer drivers there, I think this is the smallest race that we've had. It still felt action-packed to the brim. And, I think, even Hog Devil Dog Chewy had a little bit of a crazy race towards, especially the end there. I think still want to shout them out because they've turned up each week. They've been absolute troopers amidst all of it. But I think there's one more thing that we've got to do. We have to reaffirm the champion. We crowned them last week. They were missing from this week, but once again, your BFBS Pro League featuring F125 champion is in fact Phoenix, the one, the only, and the absolutely incredible. And I mean, what more is there to say? I mean, I'm going to ask the two of you, parting words.
I think, Phoenix have proven himself all season, hasn't he? It's very much been, every time that Phoenix came in to a race, he just knew how to control it, knew how to run away with it. Obviously, Singapore being that one race where one little slip up cost him the win, and that's all it can take. These little, it's not just for Phoenix; it's for any driver. Those little mistakes. We saw it with, Edward Fleming today. The race isn't won at turn one, but it is lost. And it's the same going into pit lane. That 10-second time penalty is going to hit hard. But for Phoenix, it didn't phase him. He came back the next week, took that win again and again and again. Phoenix is a force to be reckoned with going into next season as well, which I'm really looking forward to seeing how that's going to be.
Now, Jack, any final words before we close this up for the last time of this championship?
Definitely. First of all, huge big thank you to everyone from BFBS, even George, TK, Daramesh, yourself, Affinity, all the production crew that work in behind the scenes, getting all the graphics, all the replays, and having to deal with us week in, week out, especially when they get our graphics the wrong way around, George.
Yeah, come on, we're like Ant and Deck here, wrong way.
But no, yeah, it's been huge fun over the 8 weeks, huge privilege as well. Big, a good shout out to all the viewers. Everyone back home is watching it, tuning in, or even watching the VODs afters. I think one of the VODs peaked over like 1,100 views, and me and George were just like, "This is absolutely crazy." But yeah, no, it's been fun. Thanks for everything. Congratulations to Phoenix, of course, and Proven, and Adam Thompson, top 3 in the season, and all the drivers who've partaken over the last 8 weeks. It's been a blast, and hopefully we'll be back for the next season. So thank you, everyone.
Keep our fingers crossed. It's been an absolute pleasure. I mean, you've taken the words right out of my mouth with all the thank yous. But I will say one more thing. Make sure to join the BFBS Pro League Discord. The community is amazing. Make sure to get ready, because that's where the announcements are going to be if we run another F1 event, whether it's 25, whether it's 26, and into the future as well. So make sure to join the community, be a part of it, because it's an absolutely wonderful place to be. But it has been an absolute pleasure. Make sure to tune in, because next week we kick off our next set of Pro League events. We've got Rocket League and League of Legends coming up. So if you, friends, family, enjoy a little bit of Rocket League, enjoy a little bit of League of Legends, make sure to follow the channel, because we've got plenty more action to come. But from everyone here, the BFBS Pro League, have a wonderful evening, and it's been an absolute pleasure.
Mate, you're lagging. What are you doing?
Good enough can cost you the game. So stop settling. Wifinity is built for real-life on base, so you can game without compromise. Hosted somewhere new? Take your Wi-Fi with you, no hassle. Get fast, reliable Wi-Fi with Wifinity. Use code BFBS50 to get 50% off the first 3 months.